Hey everyone, it is Tanya. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today I'm back with another speed build, and it's a mansion build. We're building another mansion on the channel. I don't know what's been happening lately, but I've been having a lot of fun experimenting with some different ideas and building some bigger homes, and this is a home for another townie. It is for the, I was going to say wonderful, but maybe not so wonderful, Judith Ward. If you're not familiar with this sim, she is a celebrity that comes with the Get Famous expansion pack, and she lives on a mansion on this lot called the Ward Den in the celebrity neighborhood in Del Sol Valley, and her house is one of the ugliest houses in the entirety of the game. It is absolutely atrocious and does not fit her at all. She's not the nicest sim, but I did want to build a house that really fit her aesthetic, her personality, and go for a very over-the-top glam mansion in this area. So Judith is a mean materialistic snob who is business savvy and a mansion baron. So she wants to be filthy rich, and she has been working in the actor career. I believe she's level 8 of the actress career. Yeah. And I'm going to read you a little blurb about her off of the Sims wiki page. Judith Ward is a legend in the acting community. She has starred in everything from comedies to drama. You name it, Judith has played the role. That's not to say she's an easy person to befriend, though. Judith has burned her fair share of bridges along the way. Her mentality is to get rich at all costs. She'll be the first to throw you under the bus to advance her career. She's been married several times, but all of her partners have only slowed her down. She prefers to live fast and does not settle for mediocrity. Also, Judith is a 5-star celebrity, and she has an awful reputation, which I think is really funny. Her preset fame quirks are no touching, Vain Street, and emotional bomb. She also has a refined palate, and she lives on her own in this house, but this house actually has another bedroom, presumably for lovers. She has come and go. So I think that's kind of interesting, and I decided to include that in this space. And I also end up adding a bedroom for a butler too. So that's kind of fun. Judith definitely strikes me as the kind of sim who would have a butler kind of taking care of everything so she doesn't have to lift a finger, but she really still wants to work her hardest in the career she's in because she wants to be the best, well-known, amazing actress, and she doesn't care what she has to do to get there. I think she is a fun sim. I don't particularly like her, but I think having this personality in the Sims is really fun, and I had a lot of fun decorating her mansion as well. It ends up being a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom, I'm pretty sure, home with a pool and a lot of open spaces. This is going to be a great home for entertaining. It's absolutely enormous, and it comes in at 527,000 simoleons and change. So it's a pretty pricey one as well, which is kind of to be expected with a mansion of this size. I'm pretty sure this lot alone, when it's empty, is $15,000 if I'm remembering correctly. It's a pretty expensive lot in Del Sol Valley. I might actually build something else on one of the other lots up here at some point. I just don't build here very often for a couple of reasons. A, the lighting is pretty bad. B, they're very expensive and kind of huge lots. And C, Del Sol Valley is not the nicest world because it's too small. And I really wish there was more to it. I would love if they refreshed the Get Famous pack at some point. I feel like Del Sol Valley needs an entire another neighborhood, down by the beach, LA beaches. Yes, please give us some cheap little apartments down there that your Sims can move into when they first are trying to get started, and make it big in Del Sol Valley, make it big in LA. I can't talk, but I think that would be a dream and really make this world feel more complete, because there's only 2 livable neighborhoods. I mean, you can technically live in the downtown area, by the Walk of Fame, if you want to build a house there, but it's not really set up to be that, so it looks a little odd. So there's really just this really expensive neighborhood, and then one that's a little bit smaller that has 3 or 4 lots. I think it's only 3, but the lots are enormous. It's supposed to be for small houses, but they gave us enormous lots, so it's kind of hard to build there. But anyway, this is me trying to figure out a pool area. I knew I wanted to have one on the side of the house, and it took me a lot of fiddling to get the fencing around this to look proper, and I just did a lot of weird things with terrain manipulation and the tool mod to try and get this grand entrance to the front of this build, which I really like. You have to walk up a set of staircases to get to the front. There are so many balconies on the outside of this build, and it's just a very striking house, I think. The interior is something, though. There is a lot of marble and a lot of gold, and so many knight statues. Oh my goodness, did I go overboard with that? I thought this was the house that I should do it with, though. I mean, this is for the Judith Ward, and of course, it was an excuse to use all of the over-the-top items from Get Famous. So we used a lot of gold in this house, those really decorative couches and beds and toilets and tubs, and everything is just too much. And because of that, it was really fun. I never used those items, as it was cool to get to use them. Anyway, over here is going to be a garage space. This is the last spot in the whole build that I decorate. And it's nothing too exciting. I was thinking that it was mostly used for storage. And since Judith has this like elaborate, beautiful home on the inside with all of the like marble and the gold, that when she has a significant other or a lover of some sort who has other interests, those things are not allowed in the house. And so I have like some workout equipment and some random other stuff in the garage space. It just seemed like it didn't have a space in the house, and Judith would not want it in there. So that is what I decided to do. Since she does not seem to be the nicest person, it just made sense to me. But we're working on some landscaping now. I just wanted to get some like bushes and trees and stuff around the neighborhood, or around the lot that you can see in the existing neighborhood. Of course, there's some palm trees. There's some of these like taller bushes that are framing the lot. I ended up putting some of those in front of the pool area to act as like privacy. And as you can see right now, the lot is now backwards, where I have the front of it facing the back. And that's because the lighting on this lot is absolutely horrible. No matter what time of day it is, there is not proper lighting facing the front of this lot at all. So in order to decorate, I decided to go ahead and flip the lot around. But it's available in the gallery normal way. So you can play it that way if you want, or you can rotate it to put it backwards if you prefer it that way. But if you would like to download this, it is available right now on the Sims 4 gallery. You can find it under my EA ID, which is Gryphi, Gryphi. You can also find it under the hashtag Gryphi. And that information is all in the description down below. So obviously, this is one of my townie houses. I've been doing so many of them recently. We've done the pancakes, we've done the goth household, the calientes. I'm trying to think who else recently. I feel like there was another big one recently, but this is, the land grab mansion. I was like, there was another mansion. This one's a mansion. So I really want to continue this series. I'm having a lot of fun with it. So if there's any suggestions you have on who you would like to see next, I have all kinds of stuff written down, but I'm not sure which one I'm doing next at this point. Definitely let me know, because I'd love to take that into consideration. I love reading the suggestions and comments and feedback and all of that sort of stuff. It's so much fun to like share this hobby with y'all. So definitely let me know. It could be from any world. It could be base game world like Sims, or from packs. I think this is the first pack sim one I'm doing though, because all the other ones I think were base game sims that I've tackled. But I feel like this house just really, really needed it. So I was happy to go ahead and do it. And I feel like the front of this house ends up looking so grand in the end. The old one kind of looked like a sad face. It was really big. It only had a few windows, like big circle windows on the top floor. It was really bad. If you haven't seen what Judith Ward's original house looks like, I would recommend going and checking it out, because it is quite the sight. I have gone to it a couple of times, and it's never a good thing to look at. But anyway, I'm trying to duplicate the like front porch onto the back of the house now. It took a lot of fiddling because of not only there being foundations and terrain manipulation on this lot, but also platforms. It just was not having it for a while. So I cut some of that footage out, but you'll probably see me fiddling with it a little bit here. It wasn't working for a really long time, and I have to play around with it. So then like the entry ends up being on quite a few platforms. I believe the bottom floor we have on the highest wall height, either the highest or the medium, but I have it so it's not that tall inside because of platforms. And you'll be able to kind of see that on the front of the house here, as the balconies on the side end up being taller, and this front one as well. Whereas you can see the foundation between those two is at a shorter height. That's just kind of how it worked out. It's very interesting looking. I had a lot of fun playing with the different levels of this home. Inside, it's pretty much one level. I didn't play around with like having any kind of sunken rooms or split leveling just because it didn't feel like it would be in this house. I had like a very clear idea in my mind of what Judith's home would look like inside, and it just didn't include that. But I thought having the staircases up to the front to make that more grand entrance made sense, and a lot of rounded features as well with balconies and everything. Anyway, we're in the bottom of the pool now, and I'm using this floor piece that we got from Get Famous to sort of wrap around the bottom of the pool to have this extra like glamorous decal sort of. I end up putting one all the way around the edges here, and then we do a rectangle in the middle as well. I just think it feels a little bit more luxurious this way, and it's not a piece I ever use, so I wanted to use something like that here. I also got a couple of floaties in the pool, and we have some loungers as well. And then we're heading inside to figure out the staircases, and I really like how these staircases came out. I have it so they're sort of wrapping around the entrance. Of course, we're going to have that classic like big table with flowers on it when you first walk in the door. And actually, it doesn't end up having flowers on it. At first, we were going to put flowers, but it's even more grand than that. There's a big table in the middle of the room that has a fountain on it, which is really fun. It was just very interesting to try and make this house as glamorous and sort of tacky. I don't know if the words I'm looking for here, but it's kind of over the top and has a lot of unnecessary items in it and unnecessary spending, and I don't know. It's a lot. You'll see as we get there. And upstairs has a huge space that's just for entertaining. It's like extra living space that could totally be turned into other bedrooms if you would prefer. But I have it set up as just like more entertaining space. Judith's the only one that lives here, so having all of the extra bedrooms didn't make too much sense. It is still 3 bedrooms though, because the original house basically had Judith's room on one side, and then on the other side there was a room that looked similar to hers, but was like, I want to say it was like tiger print, and it was very loud. It was something all right. And I was thinking that was probably for her lovers when they come over, so they have their own space. I mean, when you read about Judith, it talks about how she has been married and divorced a bunch of different times. And I built part of this build over on Twitch first, and my chat was like, yes, it's going to be a room for her man. And I was like, okay, perfect. That's what we're going to do. And so it's pretty much the same as Judith's, just in a darker color scheme. I was thinking that she didn't decorate this home. She hired somebody, or it was already pre-decorated when she moved in. She doesn't have time for all of that. So you'll see that when we get to it. I also used a ton of stuff from my wedding stories, particularly these plants and this table and some of the other flowers. They were just absolutely perfect for this house, as were these curtains from Get Famous. The gold around them, it's just so much. I never use these curtains, but of course I had to in this build. They were absolutely perfect, and they're on pretty much every window in this house other than the windows in some of the windows in the kitchen. Speaking of which, I cannot wait to share the kitchen with you, because it's probably the most elaborate large kitchen I've ever created, and I really like it. Even though I typically prefer a smaller kitchen, I ended up having a kitchen that has 2 islands in it, which is very excessive, but I have seen an interior design before with really big kitchens to have 2 islands. It's so ridiculous and over the top, but I love it, and I think that's my favorite room in this entire house, so I'm definitely excited to share that with you. Anyway, we're just moving a couple things around in this entryway. I also ended up raising up an ottoman in the middle here so that it looks like there's a place for your Sims to sit if they prefer to. Yeah, I used this one from the Vintage Glamour pack. And then we're bringing in this chandelier, which is also from Get Famous. I put this absolutely everywhere. It's just so over the top, and I really like it. But we're moving into the kitchen now. And I can't remember if we do this all in one go or if we bounce back and forth a few different times. But it's a really big room, and I took a while to figure out how I wanted to lay it out, because there's just so many counters, and it's such a big room, and where the archways were, I wasn't sure how to configure that in a way that didn't look silly with like a little hallway on the side. So these are going to be the 2 islands I had mentioned. And then I actually put a bar over here instead. And then on the other side, there ends up being counters across here. And that's going to be where we have like extra appliances and 2 fridges. And you'll notice I don't add the fridges until like the end of this kitchen because I completely forgot to add a fridge, which is silly because there's so much other extra stuff in here. We have 2 islands, we have a bar, we end up having 2 ovens, and I had no fridges for a while, but it gets added in the end and it works out quite nicely. So it was fine. Also, the wallpaper I'm using in this room, this marbling, I just think looks so pretty. But having like 2 ovens right next to each other right here, I thought looked so incredibly grand. So I did that. At the first island, that's where the sink is. The other one is where I was thinking people were sitting down at. So one's more for prep and one's more for entertaining. And I got those chairs that are like the stools from Get Famous that are gold, and they're a lot. I love this kitchen though. I really like it. I think it's stunning. And it's so not my style, but I was so proud of it. Definitely let me know what you think of this kitchen. I think it's one of my favorites, like I had mentioned. And this is where I'm putting all of those appliances and bringing in some of those chandeliers to go over each of the islands. And I should be realizing here shortly that I don't have a fridge here. Maybe not quite yet. I'm putting in clutter. Decorative knives are more important than a fridge in this kitchen, but we'll get there in the end. It's really funny watching stuff back like that and realizing the things that you forget. And I don't know, it's always interesting because you're watching it back and it's so glaringly obvious to you while you're editing it. But when you were building it, you had no idea. It was not a thought in your mind. That happens a lot, usually with like forgetting to paint something or a swatch isn't fixed and that kind of thing. So this is where I'm finally adding the fridges. I ended up getting 2 of them over here because we had 2 ovens. I thought 2 fridges made sense. I scaled them up ever so slightly with tulle just so they fit this space a little bit better. And then I add a couple more decorations over here. I believe we got cutting boards and something else. I'm not entirely sure what. I just wanted to make sure we had plenty of stuff over here. I also really like the wine bottles that I have hanging up on the wall. I think those look nice. And I think we get a little rug over here to stand on as well while you're doing dishes or while you're cooking on the stove. But moving into this room, at first I wasn't sure what this room was, I was aware that I wanted this to be the dining room, but I do this all the time where I think it's going to be one room, but then I start pulling out furniture for the incorrect room and start furnishing it that way. I didn't start furnishing it that way, but I did grab a bunch of furniture for the living room, but this is going to be the dining room. And this is another room that is so incredibly over the top. There is so much space for like an elaborate dinner party in here because I took this 8-seater table and I put down 4 of them. I combined them together and we just have this massive dining table with all the swirls on it. Also, the rug underneath is from my wedding stories and I just thought it was absolutely perfect. Of course, all of these chairs are golden. We have some taller ones on the ends of the table and I put this poster in the middle I was imagining was young Judith when she was in a role that she was really proud of. We end up having another of that poster upstairs. There ends up being a couple of nods here and there to different things she has been in. There's like some props and posters and stuff throughout the home, but for the most part, it's just very gold. Gold and marble. That's the whole theme of this house. These 2 interior rooms, one of them ends up being a bathroom and the other one ends up being a safe. So we end up having a spot in here for Judith to keep her like riches and stuff. I didn't in gameplay add anything to the safe for her to have deposited because you can add simoleons in there and then your Sims can like jump around in the simoleons and sleep in them and like play with the money and throw it and all sorts of things. I think you can also woohoo in the money. So maybe you'll have Judith do that. But I did add some other things in that room to kind of give an idea of some of the things she might have in storage there that she has as prized possessions. But in the bathroom here, it ends up being split level. I have a little step up to the top, I'm pretty sure. I love how earlier I was like, I didn't do any split leveling in here. I completely forgot about this bathroom. But it's just a base level bathroom. It looks very similar to the other ones in this house, but I decided having a little pedestal here would look nice. So that's what I did. And it's just very gold and white. And I really like the checkered flooring I did with the marble. I think it looks really pretty. And then I just got a painting over the tub and I believe a plant over here as well. Yeah, pretty simple bathroom, even though it's expensive and fancy. I also used some cabinetry to kind of wrap around where the toilet is just because it felt so empty over here. I wasn't sure what to do. It's a little odd, but I think it works okay. We just have a fancy toilet. In here, I have some like extra dishes and stuff. We have a globe. I believe we have this jewelry piece that's closed in glass and some cash and stuff in there. And then I also painted the flooring. But moving into the living room now, I thought about using these couches from Get Famous. I didn't in the end, but I did use this rug that I always forget exists. But it was exactly what I needed for this room. I really liked it. And then I end up using some of these couches, actually, which are from the Decor to the Max kit. And I use a base game table that I rotate a bunch of times to make this big circular one in the end, which I think fit the style I was going for in here. It's like more traditional meets glamorous. I keep not knowing the term I'm looking for describing the furniture and the aesthetic of this home, but it's just over the top. So it's fine. You can see it. But anyway, I did get this beautiful lamp also from the Decor to the Max kit leaning over the couches. I think it looks so nice. That's also where the fireplace is from. I love that one. I love the gold touches on it. And I decided that the safe is going to be behind these bookcase doors. So I put a few of them next to each other so it looks more like there's a bunch of bookcases there. There's some plants in the corner. I also have this like little record machine up above the fireplace, and of course a big TV as well for watching and keeping entertained. And that's it for that room. But we're moving upstairs now to this weird hallway that has so much random stuff in it. It's like she can afford this space, so she just has this massive area upstairs that's just full of couches and a piano. It's excessive. But this gym has a lot of money, so she can afford it. So we have this beautiful piano from My Wedding Stories with the florals on it. I have some props in a frame from one of the movies she was in. Of course, we have more of these like gold-plated sofas. So many of these night statues. I also got another big table up here just to put a flower on. Like there's no other reason for it. And then I end up putting some more decor on this marble side table. I'm pretty sure we have like some books, a clock, and maybe a plant. It's pretty simple, but like, why do we have that? Oh no, it wasn't a plant. It was a lamp. But you know, it's just an excessive waste of space up here. I also have like an outfit maybe she wore and another version of that poster. And then we get a chess table up here. So that one's actually functional, but it's still a very large room just to have a chess table in the middle of it. And then I got some more of these flowers from My Wedding Stories to fill up the corners. And then we're moving on into the bathroom. That's actually an ensuite for Judith's primary bedroom. In here, this is going to be exactly how the other bathroom looks because Judith has a ensuite as well as a walk-in closet. And then on the other side of the house, there is the exact same layout. It's just mirrored with a bedroom, bathroom, and walk-in closet for whoever her significant other or lover is at the time. So I don't show the other bathroom, but it's pretty much the same as this one. So no worries on that. I just end up like changing a couple of the swatches. Like I'm pretty sure the rug in there is a grayish black instead. But I use the same rug in here that I use downstairs in the dining space. And of course, this very elaborate bed from Get Famous with the pink swatch. I'm pretty sure that's the one she originally had in her original house that launched with the game. So I thought it was only appropriate to keep with that. It's a very pink room. The rest of the house isn't very pink, but she has it all out in her bedroom, and I think it is so pretty, even though it's tacky. And then in her walk-in closet, I just have like a chair in the corner and a mirror, and then we're just getting some plants and stuff and trying to fill in this very big room. It ends up still being huge and spacious and not overly cluttered. I didn't think having a very cluttered space made sense for the style of this house. I feel like she would have it staying very pristine, or the butler would have it staying pretty pristine, and so that's kind of what I went with. I put a couple of pieces of decor on the bedside tables though. It made sense to me. So we have like a little journal and a clock and some flowers and all of that. And I'll actually be swapping out these side sofas a little bit later for a pink sofa instead. Once I decorate the other bedroom, because I use black sofas in there and I thought that they would just look so nice in here in pink. So I will swap that out. But right now we're just figuring out a painting, and if we want to have another bookcase over here. This one is like, look at all the gold on it. It is so fancy, and I don't like it, but it feels very Judith. I thought it was so fun to decorate in a style like this that is so not my cup of tea, to really get to do something a little bit different. But I think we're about to move over into the other bedroom. You can see I was trying to copy the bathroom over, but I'm pretty sure I moved it around off camera and we also ran out of money. So I had to go ahead and add some more in there. But this is going to be the bedroom for her significant other, her man, her lover, whoever you want to put over here. I guess it could just be a spare bedroom as well, but based on everything I read about Miss Judith Ward, this is what I was thinking for it. So I just went for like a black swatch with like this swirly pattern on the curtains, and then I ended up doing the same thing for the rug in here. I thought it was a little bit better than the tiger print that was in here before, but still has like that same over-the-top vibe, and it's pretty much a mirrored version of Judith's room, so I quite liked it. We got some mirrors over the bedside tables, a nice dresser over here, and then I should be getting the couches here shortly. They have like a curved back to them. I think they're really nice. They're just, like I said, not my style, but I thought that they worked really nicely in here, and I was glad that they had a silver instead of a gold for the one on the other room. But in Judith's room, the gold was perfect with the pink swatch. So just adding those and getting the finishing touches in this room. And then I end up actually changing out the mirror that I use in the walk-in closets, because right now I have one from Vintage Glamour, but there is a really nice one that came with Growing Together that I think fits the style way better. So that's another thing that I'm going to swap out, because, you know, you end up finding things along the way that work better for what you're trying to do. So getting another plant in the corner. I honestly just had these big rooms I didn't know how to fill. And if I didn't know what to do with it, there was either a plant or a night statue, which luckily for this style of build makes sense. So here's that mirror that I swapped out. I just think it looks a lot nicer, and you can kind of see the two closets. And then this is going to be the butler's bedroom. I ended up using this base game bed and some matching bedside tables. I did just a swatch a couple of different times, but it ends up being a pretty simple bedroom. Just a bed, bedside tables, a couple of dressers. I believe we have a longer one and then a taller one. And then like the same lamps that I'm using throughout the rest of the house, the same curtains. I wanted it to still feel like it was all decorated by the same people, but be a little bit less elaborate and fancy, because this is just where the butler is living. But it's still really nice. I think this is a really nice room. So I don't think they're skipping on him at all. He just doesn't have like a beautiful ensuite and all of that sort of stuff. So I think this room is nice. They got a little statue here. I believe we get a plant too, just shrinking that down. And that should be it for the butler's room. And then I realized, wait, why don't I add a vanity? Because I was thinking butler came with Vintage Glamour, and we also got these vanities from Vintage Glamour, and that just feels like something that Judith needed to have in her bedroom. So I got her this, of course, getting another golden chair, and we got some makeup and stuff up here as well. A beautiful tray with flowers and candles, and I just think it looks so nice. Then we're moving to the garage, which is my least favorite part of the house, but I just wasn't entirely sure what I wanted to do with the space. And like I said, I was thinking that this could just be some extra stuff. She doesn't really go out here, but her current romantic interest has some like workout gear and a car and stuff that is all stored out here. So that was kind of the idea behind it, but you could definitely renovate this room and turn it into whatever you'd like, whatever makes sense for the storyline you have in mind for Judith. There could be all kinds of interesting things out here. It's a pretty big room. So definitely keep that in mind if you decide to download this house. I just really didn't know what to do in this space. And it's not near the pool, so I couldn't make it into a pool house. I guess I could have made it into like a little room, like a little apartment situation, but that doesn't really feel like it makes sense for Judith. The problem is that she's filthy rich and not a nice person, and she has this huge mansion. So having a detached garage, I just didn't really know what to add, but I didn't really feel like it should be attached either. It was a difficult thing. If you were decorating this space, how would you have decorated the interior of this? Like I said, this is not my favorite part of the house, but my favorite part actually is the kitchen. I love the kitchen. It is so cute. It's so much. Like, why do you need two islands? But that's pretty much it for this build. I really hope you enjoyed this one. I had a lot of fun with it, and we've been hanging out together now for about half an hour. So I hope you've enjoyed this. If you did, make sure you type Squishmallows in the chat. or in the comments. I always do that. That way I know you've been watching this far into the video, and make sure you give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you would like to see more, and if you click that bell, it'll turn on notifications so you'll be notified of every single time I upload a new video. Thank you all so very much for watching. Please enjoy those screenshots, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye everyone.